brother and myself, we were analyzing how much we were paying for cutting grass back then and now, and then we were also analyzing how much we were paying for plucking coconuts. So we realized that the cost of both of them was too expensive compared to what the price would be that we were getting after selling the coconuts. And we realized that it started to look like a maintenance job as compared to a profitable farming kind of a thing, you know. So even if you try various methods, you try selling copra or whatever, like, you know, you're still losing a lot of time and making less money. So I was thinking, how do I make it a more profitable job? What cost do I reduce? So coconut plucking, there are already those tools to climb the trees and stuff. It's already in the market. So, and plus it's a pretty, like, for me to think about something else, I didn't want to take that much of a risk. So I thought, let me go for grass cutting. I went for grass cutting, and it had to be manual. It had to be manual because it's already a saturated market. So how do you add value to the system? How do you personally add value to a system and benefit more out of it? So what you can do is you can reduce the cost somewhere of what you're spending. So that's what drove me to innovate a manual tool for grass cutting. It was not done before. It's something new, as in, like, telling people to cut grass people normally do not do that. So it was a task for me to kind of start something new, but I said, okay, if we don't add value to a system, we're not going to get anything. So we have to do something. So that's how I started with the raise, the idea for the tool. Initially, what I thought was, okay, grass cutting is a very old industry. It's not a new industry, and whatever tools are there, you got to respect them. You can't just come in there and be like, I'm going to make something different. So it has to be, you have to respect the industry. If it's lasted for that long, you have to respect it. You can't just come and just, like, try something new without respecting what is already existing. So I thought, let me show the respect to the tools that pre-existed, which is basically called prior art. So let me take the prior art and test it, see what's good, what's bad. But when I eventually reached, after finding the flaws of the old tools, eventually reached that stage, I realized that, hey Jason, you can't just make a new tool and it's not going to just have its pros and its cons. You have to already understand what are the cons of the other tools, the existing tools, and you have to improvise on them. So I took a couple of things that I could improvise from the grassward and from the side, and then I said, okay, now go ahead with your design. I had to think about weight of the tool. I had to think about overall weight, basically. So it should not be too heavy that a person gets tired. Then I had to think about the ergonomics of the entire motion. How does the customer feel from start to finish and back? So all these things I used to just mentally visualize, and I used to try to make my own designs, try to hold in a comfortable manner so your wrist don't pain or something like that. So that's how I started designing the tool, basically around the problem, back from the problem also. So one was my own design, the other one was with the problems and with the cons of the old tools. So I added those cons and somehow found a perfect marriage between weight, ergonomics, and all these things. So with my tool, you can maneuver and push forward. You can chop downwards. You can swing at multiple angles with my tool. Maintenance wise, the raise doesn't have any moving parts. So maintenance wise, the only thing you have to maintain of the raise is the blade. The blade of the raise you can sharpen it with a file. Yeah, so it's either that or you can take it to the market and pay there. Maximum you're going to pay 150 if you have to reheat it, if it gets chipped or bent, something like that. They'll reheat it and they'll redo the thing. Maximum 150. Worst case scenario, the blade breaks, they have to buy one. But still, it's not going to be that expensive. Maintenance part of the automatic machine, there are a lot of moving parts. Okay, there's a shaft, then there's the bearings and all these things. So some of the machines develop vibrations when you cut. So a lot of things in terms of maintenance, that the machine, you get machines ranging from 8,000 rupees to 60,000 rupees, 70,000 rupees. Why? What's the difference? Overheating or easier damage to the blade, cheaper quality materials used. So that's the difference. Raise cuts all the way to the ground. I actually even cut sometimes a bit. I hit the ground very often with it. Raise has a flaw in terms of very fine grass and there's gravel underneath. Okay, then it's difficult to cut. Or on a football field, very fine grass, you see those thin grasses. That's where you use an automatic machine with a string. But even in narrow spaces, on roads and stuff, best thing to use is a machine. I went really when I felt like I really solved a lot of problems, like wrist pain, back pain, like the tool was balancing on the finger and very close to my body. So the center of gravity was very close to the body, which is good. So you don't have to lift and put the like for example with pressure on your back. Then so your wrist was safe. My wrist was in a nice relaxed manner on the tool. The full motion was nice from start to finish. There was no extension. Like when you're extending to the furthest position of the tool, are you stretching too much, or are you comfortable, or is that the right amount of stretch? Eventually, I made the tool, I went into the market, and eventually I added a little more weight to the tool because I was trying to please everyone. I was trying to make a tool which everyone could use, like a girl should also be able to use it. But then I realized that it's compromising strength for tougher regions. So eventually I had to make a decision, okay, it will be used by a certain strength, a person of a certain strength and ability, stamina ability. So I made it a bit stronger eventually. I added better handles and stuff. I did some improvements after I started selling, which is a natural part of the journey. Okay. Yeah. I personally am selling them right now by myself. I've not gone on any online market or anything like that. Personally, I'm selling. Durability, so far I've sold 50 units, and maybe with around 5 or 6 the blade is broken a bit often. But with the rest, no one has complained as yet of the blade being damaged and stuff, and they've been using it. It took me a long time. It was quite a frustrating journey because every time I try to do something productive, a con would show up that was worse than and I had to be the difficult part of this journey is being honest with yourself. It's very hard once you put in like a year and then you say no, this should be enough. This should be enough. That kind of mentality should never be there. So there was a time also when I said, okay, I'm done. And my brother told me, no, remember why you started and solve to the customer's problems. Don't solve to what you feel the price should be and all these things. I'm forcing the small scale industry to mass produce. Not mass produce as in like produce in a certain decent quantity. Like I was producing maybe 60-70 blades at a time, which those guys are not used to. So then they would have flaws in it because they're not used to hammering metal to a certain weight, like to a certain specific weight. Like I say, I want 350 grams of this blade. They're like, we've never worked to the gram. So that's when the raise is kind of like there are issues because now I'm forcing them to do things they've not done before, and then I'm getting inconsistency. So if a customer says, Jason, the blade broke just like that, I tell them, okay, fine, how did it happen? They say, no, we didn't do anything much, it just broke. I said, okay, I'll give you a new one for free. Yesterday a customer asked me, Jason, he showed me a small area. Said, I was thinking about buying the raise. I said, don't buy the raise. That area which you have is very small, remove it by hand. Get someone to remove it by hand. So like that, I'm trying to be as honest as I can based on their needs. It's not the machine that needs to be sold to, it's the customer's problems that need to be solved. I launched on September 1st last year. So it's 1 year, 1 month since then, yeah. And I've sold 50 units. Yeah. And yeah, I've done a lot of public cutting also. So, and I've got a pretty good mileage so far. So I'm happy with what I've done. I would like to go big, but I'm hoping that I can find somebody who can assist me, like you know. But let's see. Right now I'm gonna try and take a. It's not going as fast as I wish it went. Like 50 in 1 year is too less. It's too slow. So probably I'm gonna try and take up a job or something and then try to do it side by side. Right now I'm hoping that I can do it side by side and really get people to work with it. Like I prefer customer using it rather than 3 customers just buying it for the namesake. Like if a customer says we're just buying it for you to support you, I would be like, no thank you. I want you to use it. I'm trying to create change here. I'm trying to create awareness here. So I want you to use it kind of a thing.